Hi, I'm Shannon from houseimprovements.com, and today we've got another video for you, and again we're dealing with a window in this case, but a little different scenario. In this video I'm going to show you how to change out a window like this when you've got a stucco finish on the outside of your house. In this case we've actually got stucco buildups as well, but you may just have a flat stucco wall. So you can see we've got a vinyl window here, it needs to be changed out. This particular window has a plastic nailing flange. It's all part of the window, which is a pretty typical window to be installed in a newer home. But the problem with them is when it comes time to change them, this flange is underneath whatever exterior finish you have. So like I said, in this case we've got stucco, which is even a little bit harder to deal with. So you've actually got to cut the stucco out and to get the window out. You can see obviously I've started some of this just to kind of get a little bit ahead and be able to show you kind of what we're doing. There is another way you could do this. The other way you could do this is take a saw and actually put your blade right in this groove. So right in here, and cut all the way around. And I would probably use either a grinder or maybe an oscillating saw with a cement blade. But anyways, you could cut all the way around here. That would actually cut the nailing flange off and the window unit itself would come out. Now, if you do that method, what you've got to do is actually put in a smaller window than you had before, because you're losing this amount of space on your rough opening. So you pull out the unit, leaving this behind. You'd have to frame the opening in a little bit, probably 3/4 of an inch, maybe 1.5 inches, and then have your new window made to fit inside of this. Basically it would be the same as this right here. In this case we're trying to deal with this buildup that we've got here, the stucco buildup, and also still keep these few windows we're changing looking similar enough to the ones that we have. So what we've decided to do in this case was to cut the stucco back, exposing the nail flange, so that we could remove the whole window. And what we're doing is replacing this window then with a window that has a 2-inch renovation brick mold. Now in some of my other videos you've seen me already install this similar kind of window, but in a different, just a wood wall construction. So like I said, we've got to make this cut through here. What you're going to find is in your stucco there should be an embedded layer of mesh as well to give it strength and help it bond to everything. So your personal protective equipment is absolutely very important here. You're going to want eye protection, long sleeves, long pants, gloves. I'm actually wearing a full shield, face shield, because you can get some little fragments of this metal coming out. We're cutting it with a grinder. So okay, so that's just a sample piece of what we have. The type of window we're putting in is over here. Just got it leaning off to the side here. So you can see we've got the 2-inch renovation brick mold. This cap here snaps out. You can see I have it off over here. And then you insert screws into that channel to mount the window to the wall, and then snap the caps back in. So that window compared to this one, the main difference is on this one we've got the framework around the glass and we've got this little bit of a jam right here, but we don't have the extra 2 inches of vinyl in the brick mold here. So that's what we will have once we get this all removed. Something else to consider, what we had to do here, because we've got the build out, this build out, now it varies a bit, but it's around 1 3/4, might even be as much as 2 inches in some spots. Your brick molds usually, I think they only protrude around, I think it might be 1.5 inches. So to prevent the brick mold from being set in from the face of the stucco, what I did is I ordered the windows with a little wider jamb, an extra 1/2 inch. So once I get this window wall taken out, I'll actually put a piece of 1/2 inch plywood all the way around the opening to push the window out a little further, so that we have a little bit of a lip. You can see I actually did a window over here already. That way we've got a little bit of the window actually protruding so we can get a good bead of caulk, get a good seal there, because that's going to be your new seal, is using a caulking or silicone all the way around. Okay. So now the cutting that we're going to do, we're going to use a few different items here. So we're going to use I think this is what they call a 4-inch grinder, basically, with a segmented concrete cutting blade in here. And that's going to do the bulk of our cutting, because we're cutting obviously through masonry and through that wire. Now this buildup, I don't know if you can really see it. Actually, you can probably see on the other side here. These buildups, usually how they build them up is it's just a layer of styrofoam back here. So they've got the plywood wall, they get the window in, and then they put these decorative pieces of foam around, and then they parge or they stucco over top of that. So once you're through the stucco and the wire, it's just foam all the way back to the plywood. So our initial cutting is using that cement blade, so that I don't go overcut on the corners, you know, by that corner and leave an ugly mark. I stop just short, and then I'm using an oscillating saw with basically a tile blade or a cement blade in the saw. So that'll just help me finish off the corners to leave a nice square corner. And then I've also been using this other oscillating saw with a wood blade that you can see is really damaged from nails and stuff, but just to basically finish off the foam and anything else in those corners. So those are the basic tools you need for the cutout. Now to mark out where you want to cut, I guess going back to ordering the window. If you're going to measure for the window and you've got this exact type of window and you're going to do a 2-inch renovation brick mold like what I'm doing, this outer edge here is the same as your jamb inside on most window manufacturers. So you can use that as a reference to order your window. In my case, I was able to use that as a reference to what size I needed the window, the actually jamb size. So, and then the manufacturer makes it up from there. So what I did, now I've got the window here, I measured the outside distance of the jamb on the new window. So width, I forget what it was, let's just say it was 36 inches. I'm adding 1/8 of an inch to that. So overall I want 36 1/8 outside a cutout to outside, or sorry, inside a cutout to inside a cutout. And that'll give us just a little bit of play, because we are going to caulk or silicone it. It gives us a little bit of play to square things up. I've also found that these windows are not really in very plumb or square, so I need a little bit of room to shift them around. Now, so once you've got your window, you can measure, you know what the total width is going to be. It's just simply a matter of measuring from your reference point, in my case was here, out the difference of the window, and I just put a pencil mark, did that all the way around, and then I took a straight edge. It's really hard to mark this with pencil because, for one thing, it just chews your pencil up so quickly because it's so rough. The surface is never smooth, so it's what I found was the easiest thing is once I had my reference marks with my pencil, I used my straight edge, lined up the reference marks on the wall, and then I just used this bar, or you could use whatever, anything metal, and I just scribed a little scratch, which I think you can probably see on the camera there. So that little scratch mark is my pencil line, my cut line. So then I'll just cut all the way around. You probably want to wear a dust mask as well when you're cutting cement type products. So dust mask, eye protection, gloves, all that stuff, ear protection. So I think I'm going to suit up, and we'll start cutting the rest of this, and we'll go from there. Okay, so as you can see, it takes a few different tools to actually do this. And depending on your situation, the grinder may just do exactly everything you want to do. But generally, trying to finish off the corners, no matter where you're cutting, you need something a little different to do that. If you did it with just the grinder, in order to get that corner completely cut, your grinder cut would be probably past about 1/2 inch each direction here, and it just doesn't look as nice. So we've got that off. Now kind of the next step to do is to pry these pieces out of here. Now you still want to be careful, even though you've got it cut, just in case one area didn't cut right through, or in my case, it seems like a lot of the nails that are holding that foam on are right where I wanted to cut. Just luck of the draw, I guess. So I've got to kind of watch that those don't start coming out, and I just don't want to damage any of this out here if I can help it at all. So you still want to be a little bit careful, but generally speaking, as long as you've got it cut right through, these parts all come out pretty good. So I'm going to use the safety glasses because there's going to be a little bit of cement possibly flying a little bit. I've got it started, but so it's going to look a little bit easy to get going here. But generally, actually I should maybe go up here. So when you're going to start, what I usually do is I'm using, I think they call this a cat's bar, this cat's paw, I should say, this bar, and my hammer. So you just got to kind of crack into it here and get a corner started, or any area. So once you get through the cement, you can see that mesh inside of there. And that would have been right over the surface of the foam itself, and then the parging or the stucco on top of that. So once you've got that, this wire breaks pretty easy. So you can usually just kind of get behind there, just gently pry until you get things kind of started. And like I said, you just want to watch that you aren't hurting anything around the outside where you're trying to leave it in place. So you're going to have that layer of parging and a layer of foam as well. So we'll just go all the way around the window. Right up here you can see there's a lot of times that foam is just held on with a shingle nail. You can see I've got a nail up in there. So once you kind of get them exposed, you just want to make sure you pull those out as well. And so on. So just work all the way around the window and peel this piece off that we don't want anymore. Okay, so we've got all the stucco and foam that we cut all out of the way, and I've gone around and got rid of most of the nails that are holding the flange in place. So you're going to find that there's going to be nails all the way around the outside here, or maybe even screws. In our case it was nails. They're being really stubborn to get, so if you can't pull them out, you can use a bar like this and try to hammer it in at the head of the nail. But you can see, or maybe you can't, but they're in pretty tight, so it's pretty tough to get that in around them. So what I've been doing is using this other bar, wiggling it and getting it behind the flange, and then working it up towards the nail, and then actually just basically breaking the flange around the nail head to get it out. So I think I've only got about 2 or 3 nails left here to do, if I can get the bar up that high. This is one of the harder things to do once you get all the parging cut. So I'm just trying to break the vinyl around the head of the nail. I got it kind of started there on the bottom, but the top doesn't want to go, so I'll get above the nail here. It's being real stubborn. You don't want to pry back on here, you'll end up breaking a corner off. So that one. I think I've got one or two more left up here. Okay, I think I've got that loosened right off. So now I can work the window out of the opening. Hopefully, if I got all the nails. Okay, so we've got our opening. So you can see here the flange. It was against the wall. We've got our window jamb. Typical vinyl window construction. So I'm going to get this down off the scaffold out of the way, and then we can start prepping the opening for the new window. Okay, so we've got the window out. We've got a typical window opening left behind here. We've got bad insulation that had been chinked in there, shoved in there to basically insulate that space. So we're going to peel all that off and clean the opening out. Then we've also got, because we pried the nails out, we're also going to have a bunch of nails, you know, either broken off or pried out or whatever. So you want to pull all those out or hammer them in flat, one or the other. And as well, just take a knife around and cut off any of the building wrap that's sticking out, just so we have the bare plywood left. So I'm going to go around, prep that all up, and then we'll come back. Okay, so I'm back. We got the opening all prepped up. Like I said before, we hammered in any nails, staples, that sort of thing. We got rid of the old building paper that was sticking into the opening, and we've put on our waterproofing membrane around here. That's this blue product that you see here. There's different brands and stuff out there, so just depending on what you can find in your area. We do have another window video, and we'll put a link in the description of this video talking more about exactly what I did to install this. I'm just not going to repeat that, so you can watch that other video and see that done. It was a different brand. It's red, but basically the same thing. So we just made our sill pan at the bottom, and then wrapped around our jambs here too, just for waterproofing. Also, the other thing we did off camera is we added the plywood strips that I talked about in the beginning of the video. So on the existing opening, these strips were put on there, and that was just to build this thickness of this window out an extra ½ an inch, so that it'll actually protrude out past the stucco. In this case, you may or may not have to do that. If you do that, just be sure whatever you add that you make sure your windows are ordered with the right depth of window jamb to accommodate that. Okay, so we've got that in. Next basic step, we've also dry fit the window, so just make sure it fits in your opening. You don't have to trim any little spots that maybe were sticking out or not straight or something. So we did dry fit it, everything's good. I'm going to run now a bead of silicone all the way around here, which will embed into the back side of the window when it gets in place to form a water seal there. You'll notice when I get down to the bottom with my bead of silicone, I'm going to come around and I'm going to leave 2 or 3 little spaces where there is no silicone at the bottom. So if any moisture does get in there, for whatever reason, it has a point that it can actually get out from the window jamb and not be rotting the wall out. Okay, so I'm going to go around, do my silicone, and then the window's ready to put in place. I'm putting a nice generous bead around there. Okay, so I've got my silicone around there. I'm just going to lift the window into place and get it leveled and plumb. Okay, so I've just basically embedded it into the silicone. I'm gonna, kind of center the window up, get it lifted up where I want it to be, and then I can put a screw in to hold it in place. So like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we've got this channel in here that we can hide our screws in, and then snap those covers back in. So I'll just check my window for plumb, so I kind of know what I've got to do. And I've got to get the top over just a little bit. See what we are for level. Yeah, and it's saying the same thing. So I've got to get my just twist the window here a little bit. So I'm probably going to get the camera guy to give me a hand inside, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how we've got it all screwed in. Okay, so we've got the window in all plumbed up, and we've got our screws in this particular window. Like I said, we've got our screws in that channel. This little cap, these cap pieces go on to cover those screws up. So they just simply snap in. I just use the handle of my hammer or rubber hammer or whatever to get them in there. Like that. And there'll be a piece all the way around. And really, to finish this off on the outside, it's just a matter of going around with a good quality exterior caulking, or silicone in this case I'm going to use. We're really not going to go into detail on going inside and insulating and putting the casing on. We've got videos on all those types of things that you can view if you go to our channel. But I will just maybe run a bead across the top here of the silicone. I'm not sure. Can you see actually if I do the top? Is that too high?
Can't really see.
Okay. What I'll do then, I'll do this side. I'll put the cap on and we'll do the side where the camera can see better. Okay, so you just want to take your whatever type of caulking you're using. We're just trying to put a nice little bead along the edge here to seal it up again. In this case, we're using clear. You may want to use a colored caulk or whatever. So and you can see how it's nice to have at least a little bit of an edge there to caulk to. It's almost a little thick up here. Kind of wish I had a little more of an edge of the window to go against here, but the build out's a little wider here or something. That's basically what you want to do. Now this caulking dries pretty quick. You usually can't really tool it, so this particular one I just got to put it on as best I can and walk away, sort of thing. So you get the idea. You seal up the outside. If you have a little bigger space, this one's pretty good, and you can't really see the top. On the top I have a little bigger space, so what I might do is first jam some of this foam rod into the space, just so I'm not using so much caulking. So it basically kind of acts as a backing behind there, and just prevents the whole space from getting filled with silicone or caulk. So okay, well, I think we covered the basic things. Really, this video is mostly about showing you how to be able to cut through your stucco to get your old window out and put a new window in. And like I said, there is a couple different ways you can do it. This is one of them. This way does work quite well. It's definitely easier when you don't have the build-ups. You just back rate this surface here, you cut that, peel it out, and there's no adding plywood or anything. You just put the window in. So I think that's it. We've got lots of videos on our channel if you want to check them out. And like I said, we're going to have a link in the description for that one dealing with the membrane, just so that you can get a little more information on that if you need it. But go and watch any other video we want. We've got all different types of videos for windows and decks and siding and all kinds of stuff, so you go and check them out. We've got our Patreon page. If you want to become a patron or not sure what that is, you can go and check that out. And also, you know, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter too if you really want to keep track of what we're doing all the time. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.